You're still watching Prime Morning. This segment is proudly brought to you by Franco Traded Enterprise. Still phone papa pair for you. Whatever gadgets you're looking for, whether mobile phones, television sets, CCTV cameras, we say worry no more because we have got you covered. You can actually download the app on your phone to make things very simple, which is Franco Trading Enterprise. So the app is the Franco Trading Enterprise, and if you want further inquiries is www.francotradingenterprise.com. Franco Trading Enterprise still phone papa pair fee. Now you are logged on because you have made us #1 and we are grateful. Don't forget to send your messages to us on 055-157-5757, 055-157-5757. I know the newspapers are reporting more about the D levy, as you call it, and so we'll talk about it as a doomsaw levy, as a term where we are trying to eradicate doomsaw for good. And so government said that they were going to implement a 1 Ghana cedis levy on each litre of fuel. Now all the newspapers are reporting that particular story. We'll delve into that, and then also we'll delve into the losses that BOG made in the year 2024. Could it have been avoided? And what is the BOG, that's Bank of Ghana, going to do to make sure that they offset this I don't want to say debt, because it's not debt, it's loss. How are they going to build it back again? How are we going to get back into a stronger economy? Let's see what the Bank of Ghana says about this. And the losses they made was 9.49 billion Ghana cedis. Yep. That's how much loss they made in 2024. Isaac Ofieje will be here to tell us more about it and break it down to us. Now, let's do the newspapers. And also, we'll take a look at it. The nurses, that's Ghana Registered Nurses Association, Midwife Association, who have decided to go on strike because of conditions of service. They hope for a better condition of service from the government, and they are asking government to just do it for them so they can go back and work happily. We'll talk about that as well. So you can send your messages to us on 055-157-5757, 055-157-5757. If you woke up this morning, you ought to be happy because God has given you another life. Now to the newspapers. The Publisher, the New Publisher newspaper is my first newspaper. The New Publisher. Restarting Ghana, 4 Ghana cedis, 50 peso new tax on 1 gallon of fuel. And like I said, it's the D levy, as it's termed, and people are complaining already, not too happy. Well, the others who say if you compare it to the E levy, this is a much better and cheaper. And so they would rather pay the D levy than to pay the E levy. We'll talk a bit about it, just briefly about that. Razak Opoku slams government over fuel levy, and 7 Ghanaians die in Mecca during Hajj. This is too sad to know, but then, you know, as I said, it's a holy ground, and so Allah knows best. The Ghanaian Publisher newspaper is the next newspaper, the Ghanaian Publisher. Ablakwa's Western Sahara hypocrisy exposed. Mohammed's D-levy rollout, oil marketers say no to GRA. Minority petitions IGP over Ablekuma North results. And as it stands now, Ablekuma North is still in limbo, and so the minority has petitioned the IGP over it. And Bento Dafia Mekbo chide OSP. That'll be it for the Ghanaian Publisher newspaper. The next newspaper is a Chronicle newspaper, and it says Africa expansion drive, Zoom Lion sets eyes on Zanzibar after signing mega contracts in Nigeria, Ethiopia, and DR Congo. We still want to know what the status of the government versus Zoom Lion is as of now, because I know about a month ago there was a lot of brouhaha with regards to the contracts and how much monies were being paid to the workers of Zoom Lion to keep Ghana clean. Is Ghana clean yet, or Ghana is not clean? Where we are seeing that Zoom Lion is signing contracts in Nigeria, Ethiopia, and DR Congo is fantastic. But what about Ghana? What is in the contracts? How are our mothers and fathers who are working for Zoom Lion benefiting? How are they keeping the country clean? Is it really working, or is it not working, and yet they are crossing the borders, going to other countries, signing these contracts as we suffer as Ghanaians? Well, one day we'll get to the bottom of it. Tree planting and the Tree for Life initiative is a call to action. Frema Foundation launches Dignity in Bloom period pad projects in Ashanti region. And I think that will be all for the Chronicle. But it's quite interesting that every time the Chronicle brings a newspaper, they have a Bible verse here. And I want to read the Bible verse and see which of the stories this is affiliated to. And it says, Matthew 7:7, ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock, it will be open to you. Is it a tree planting or a Zoom lion? That is seeking and signing contracts in Nigeria, Ethiopia, and DR Congo as we suffer in Ghana. We'll still talk about that. Well, we go on to the next newspaper, which is the final newspaper, and it's the Ghanaian Times newspaper. The Ghanaian Times newspaper. At Eid al-Adha congregation, pray for peace in Boko and conflict areas. President Mahama says so. Zoom Lion, Zanzibar partner on waste management sustainability. Lands Minister rally support for Tree for Life afforestation campaign. And also TDC to deliver 2,000 flats annually beginning 2026. And this coming from the managing director. All right, so that's all for the newspapers. Like I said earlier, today we are going to be taking a look at the losses BOG has made, and then we'll delve into, should I say, Ghana versus nurses. I don't know if that's the right term, or the government versus nurses. That's Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. Or I should say the nurses versus us. Which is which? Well, we'll delve into that as well. And then we'll also take a look at the D-levy, a little bit of that, because it's been trending. And talking about that, over the weekend, drivers spoke against it, not too happy about the D-levy. We'll definitely delve into that. You ought to stay glued to your television set. I'm not here alone. Agyekum-Obeng is here to help us with what the BOG has said so far with regards to the 9.49 billion Ghana cedis losses they made in 2024. Good morning, Kofi.
Good morning, Rosalie.
How are you?
I'm fine. How about you?
I'm fine. Thank you. Are you from? We are still in the mood.
God first.
We are still in the mood. Now you don't wake up alone. So is it easy to wake up and come this early?
Another layer of, we'll talk about that.
Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. And yesterday you did share a breakdown with us, but I think we should take a look at the reports from BOG and then we can get deeper into the breakdown.
Well, so, BOG, as we all know, is supposed to be the lender of last resort and the bank that's supposed to supervise all other banks. But one thing that I've always said is that your central bank as a country is a perfect definition of how your economy looks like, or the nature of your economy. And so if you look at the BOG, for instance, this is a Bank of Ghana, for instance. If you tell anybody that Bank of Ghana is making losses, I'm sure anybody will say, oh, but why? Bank of Ghana is not supposed to be making losses. But that's the case. And that's what we are going to analyze on the Smart World for you, trying to paint a picture of where the financial position of the apex bank of the country is. And that will be on the smart screen very soon. But if you are watching us this morning, know that the Bank of Ghana has posted another loss of 9.41 billion Ghana cedis. And this is one of the biggest losses they've actually posted in the last decade. And we'll be analyzing that number for you very soon. But one thing you need to understand is that what are some of the reasons why the Bank of Ghana is posting this huge loss? It said it's becoming so expensive to do their market operation, which they call the OMO, the open market operation, where they use money to mop up money in the system to curb inflation. Bank of Ghana is saying that, look, in 2024, we use a certain amount of money to actually mop up money from the system. And that's one of the reasons why you see our operational losses, or the reason why you see our losses as high as 9.4 billion Ghana cedis. There's also one restated figure that we saw in that Bank of Ghana report, and that 2023 it was reported that the bank made a loss close about somewhere a little about 10 billion, Ghana cedis. Bank of Ghana says that they've looked at the numbers and they've restated that figure to somewhere around 13.4 billion, Ghana cedis. And we'll be going to the world right now to analyze the numbers. But before that, we have a report for you that catalogs what really happened in 2024 when it comes to the Bank of Ghana and its profitability.
A significant improvement from what it posted in 2023. The central bank in a statement argued that The loss came about as a result of engagement in its core mandate, like open market operations, which contributed about 8.6 billion cedis to the overall operating loss, evaluation and exchange differences, participation in government of Ghana's Gold for Oil program, and currency expenses, which in the 2024 financials showed that it spent about 1 billion cedis last year. However, the Bank of Ghana was quick to add that it has instituted a lot of measures that will help improve their position going forward. One of them is the decision by the Bank of Ghana to get out of the Gold for Oil program in cities last year. However, the Bank of Ghana was quick to add that it has instituted a lot of measures that will help improve their position going forward. One of them is the decision by the Bank of Ghana to get out of the Gold for Oil program, Finance Ministry's decision to recapitalize the Bank of Ghana, and other cost-cutting measures that will be implemented to help improve its expenses, which in the 2024 financials showed that it spent about 1 billion cedis last year. However, the Bank of Ghana was quick to add that it has instituted a lot of measures that will help improve their position going forward. One of them is the decision by the Bank of Ghana to get out of the Gold for Oil program, Finance Ministry's decision to recapitalize the Bank of Ghana, and other cost-cutting measures that will be implemented to help improve a significant improvement from what it posted in 2023. The central bank in a statement argued that the loss came about as a result of engagement in its core mandate, like open market operations, which contributed about 8.6 billion cedis to the overall operating loss, evaluation and exchange differences, participation in government of Ghana's Gold for Oil program, and currency expenses, which in the 2024 financials showed that it spent about 1 billion cedis last year. However, the Bank of Ghana was quick to add that it has instituted a lot of measures that will help improve their position going forward. One of them is the decision by the Bank of Ghana to get out of the Gold for Oil program, Finance Ministry's decision to recapitalize the Bank of Ghana, and other cost-cutting measures that will be implemented to help improve its operations.
Right, and this is a report, and of course, the Bank of Ghana made 9.49 billion Ghana cedis losses in the year 2024. Dr. Ezekiel Agyekum has also joined us, and he's representing the NPP. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Rosalyn.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, too.
Right, now we'll cross over to Isaac Ofie-J, who is on standby to give us all the details with regards to the figures as to how the losses happened. Kofi?
Well, Rosalind, the big number is still on the screen, 9.41 billion loss in the fiscal year of 2024. So this loss that we're talking about is the 2024 numbers, and we can say that there is that significant decline from that restated figure of a little over $13 billion that the Bank of Ghana recorded in 2023. Now we are talking about 9.4 billion. But this is so huge. If you look at the number on the screen, the total loss that the Bank of Ghana made is more than the amount government is hoping to get from the imposition of 1 cedi on the liter of fuel. Government wants some 5.7 billion from that, readjustment or rework of the energy sector levy. But look at the loss that the Bank of Ghana is making. That's about 9.4 billion Ghana cedis. And so we go deeper into the numbers, and this tracks the bank's profitability position since 2008. And in fact, the reason why this is important is that you look at the profitability position of the Bank of Ghana after redenomination, and you can see that the first 10 years or the first 7 years, the bank was really doing well, posting significant profit from 2008 to somewhere 2016, where the bank even made as high as 1.5 billion Ghana cedis worth of profit in 2012. Now, if you look at what I'm showing you on the screen, you could see that the story changes right from 2017, where the bank started recording losses. But these losses were, very minimal in 2017 and 2018, where we're talking about 1.6 billion and then 793 million Ghana cedis. Then all of a sudden, we saw what happened in the year of 2022, one of Ghana's biggest economic crisis fiscal years, where the Bank of Ghana now makes a loss of 60.8 billion Ghana cedis. Back then, when we're doing the evaluation, that was somewhere around 6 billion worth of losses in just one fiscal year. And now 2023, the bank recorded some 10.5 billion loss. But it has actually restated this figure and saying that, look, the losses were more in that year and has pegged that figure somewhere around 13 billion, Ghana cedis. So what we try to do is help you understand the profitability position of the bank, the apex bank of the country since 2008. And let's do this math. If you go back to the slide that I showed you and you begin to add all the profits since 2008 versus the total quantum of losses in that same period, you can see a sharp difference where if we do the math, the total profit since, or cumulative profit since 2008, between 2008 and 2024, that gives you some 10.74 billion Ghana cedis in this period under review. Do the same math for the total losses, and that gives you 82.79, almost 83 billion Ghana cedis in a span of 17 years. That's almost close to, let's say, 9 times or 8 times the total profits we've seen under the same period. And this is supposed to be the bank that is supposed to be the lender of last resort, the apex bank, and we see this kind of situation. Now, one will ask, if the Bank of Ghana is recording some of these figures, what are some of the effects? Let's go into the numbers. And the first effect is that, first of all, you should know that the Bank of Ghana is operating with a negative equity, which means that if you look at the bank's, assets versus its liabilities, you can see liabilities being more than the asset. And this year, it is quoting a negative equity of somewhere 58.6 billion Ghana cedis. And bear in mind that this is even an improved figure of the over 60 billion it's recorded in 2023. Now we are talking about an improved figure of 58.6 billion Ghana cedis as a negative equity that a central bank of a country is operating with. When a bank finds itself in such a situation, it makes it difficult to perform some of its primary responsibilities like the open market operation and other significant responsibilities. But, talking about all of these losses, how much is the magnitude of the problem we are talking about? All of this, we know that the biggest came in 2022, 2023, when we had to do the domestic debt exchange program to actually save the country and give it the best, put it in a good position to enjoy that 3 billion bailout package from the IMF. Now, after that, we've seen banks, struggling, not just banks, but also the central bank is struggling with losses. And that means that we or the country now has to bail out a central bank. And how much we need to bail out Bank of Ghana? And that's the figure put out there by the finance minister, who said that, look, if we really want to save the Bank of Ghana, then we need some 53 billion Ghana cedis to save the Bank of Ghana, because the bank is still operating in negative loss. And we've seen the figure of 58 billion Ghana cedis. Now, this is what the finance minister, Dr. Kasio Latofosin, said about the Bank of Ghana when he was presenting the 2025 budget. He said, and I read, he says, "We are preparing for the recapitalization of the BOG due to the adverse impact of the DDEP." So if there's one devil in the room, it should be the DDEP that has actually plunged the bank into a position where it doesn't want to be anymore. And the IMF says that, look, because of the position you find yourself in, you can come into the market and support the government. So we've signed an MOU for you to do a 0% financing, which means that if the government finds itself in a tight position like it did in 2022 and 2023, where the Bank of Ghana had to bail it out, you will not be able to perform that responsibility on that magnitude anymore. And what happened was that in that year, the DDEP that was carried out, in fact, if you look at the quantum of haircuts that were given to financial institutions, the Bank of Ghana took the highest hit, took a haircut of almost 40 billion Ghana cedis. This was supposed to be a sort of, on its balance sheet, supposed to reduce its liabilities and give it a positive equity. But because of what it did to save the economy around 2022 and 2023, it had to take that hard bullet and bite it. Now, the finance minister said that when we had a discussion, there were certain options available to the Bank of Ghana in terms of recapitalizing. It says that the first option was you have to either recapitalize through the budget, and that was the first option that Bank of Ghana actually presented. The second option was that you sell or you asset transfers was also one of the options, and the third option was the suspension of profit transfers and the use of any buffer generation in the program implementation. Program here we are talking about the IMF program. These four options presented to the Finance Ministry. The Finance Ministry said that, look, we can't go with the first option because the government itself finds itself in a difficult situation, and we all understand why we have to impose an additional 1 cedi on fuel at the pumps. The government says that we cannot do or we cannot bear the entire 53 billion recapitalization. But the question is, when government found itself in a tight position in 2022 and 2023, it was the Bank of Ghana that came to bail it out. Now the Bank of Ghana needs recapitalization, and the central government is saying that, well, we ourselves, we've not recovered from the woodshed. So we say that there are different options, and the other options are you actually have to, transfer some of your assets, or you have to retain some of your profit. But the question is, the bank is still making losses. How does it even, suspend its profit transfers and all of that? And so, the finance minister was very clear. He said that there are options that you can use to bring back that positive equity, and said you can lease your new headquarters. He said that, or you can actually cut expenditure and reduce, some of your events. And one thing we realized from the 2024, report is that the bank's operational losses went up a bit. And the finance minister is saying that if you really want to get back, you can actually sell some of your assets, or the new office that you have, you can actually lease it for some time. He said that on PM Express, and that shows the position that the government has taken. Bank of Ghana is in trouble, and it needs help at the moment where it is operating with a huge negative equity, where its liabilities are now more than its assets. This is the central bank that's supposed to be the lender of last resort. We have some of the commercial banks struggling, and there is still talks around recapitalization of some of the commercial banks. It's not been long since we did that banking sector cleanup. And some few years after the banking sector cleanups, it looks like the central government also needs some sort of cleanup, Rosalind.
Right. I know the first question that people will be asking is, how did we get here?
DDEP, one major factor, has been running through all the reports since 2022. Where DDEP alone in 2022, as a result of the government or the central bank's decision to take the biggest form of the haircut, it recorded that over 60 billion Ghana cedis losses in 2022. 2023, we saw a spillover from 2022, and then in 2023, we've not seen, a restated profit, which is more than what was quoted last year. And this year, we are seeing another loss. And so you can see that the bank has still not fully recovered from the impact of the DDEP. Then one may ask, if the lender of last resort has not been able to recover from, the parent bank has not been able to recover from DDEP, how much more, the children, or what we say, the commercial banks who also participated in the DDEP, especially the domestic-owned, banks that we have in the space.
All right, I'll come back to you and I'll ask you more questions, because I know that those at home, one thing they'll be asking is, if DDEP was going to cost us this much, why did we go for it? I'll come to you and probably you give us answers to that. So let's come back into the set where I have Nana Yausapo joining us, representing Movement for Change. Good morning, Nana.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. It's
Great.
been a while.
Yes. You hardly come and saying your money has come.
I like your necklace.
Thank you very much.
What's the name of the stone?
It's a Swarovski.
Do you have a license?
Anyway, let me introduce Richard Manurubi as well, who's representing the NDC. Good morning. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, Rose.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Great, thank you.
Good too.
Yes, I can tell that you are really living well.
Oh, how? Every Ghanaian is living well now, as far as there's change of government, and now that there's hope. Things are started picking up. You can see how the Bank of Ghana are actually struggling. We are all struggling small, but bear with me. Collaboratively, we'll build a Ghana we want together.
I know I've introduced Dr. Agyekum already, but once again, let me do it again because everybody's here.
Is in the studio?
Yes. So welcome once again.
Thank you, Roslyn.
Right, and he's representing the NPP. All right, so listening to what Kofi has said so far with regards to the losses that were made in the year 2024, I want to take your view on it. Doc, you came in first, so let me start with you. Okay. Yes, your view on it.
I thought those in government would do as they do. more light.
Let me, because you came first, so it's only fair. Or you want to hand over that?
They are in government.
Okay, all right.
We seem to be quite confused about what
he came first, but he
out.
says that you should speak first, so it's fine.
He just want to know my view of how they criminally mismanage the economy so that he can build on that and pull out his propaganda. But I don't mind. I'm here to speak for the NDC and the government.
All right.
So let me say good morning to your cherished viewers and my co-panelists, and good morning to the good people of Nkwanta South Constituency and Oti region. Recently, the Bank of Ghana and an analysis your analyst has put in place, I watched, and I want to use this opportunity to thank Adongo and the NDC minority. Prior to 2024 election.
NDC minority?
The then minority.
Then minority.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And the people of this country demonstrated to Ghana that the Bank of Ghana was collapsing. And that Philip Addison and his people, even procurement, remember, issues on it. When we're going to submit the petition to the Bank of Ghana BOG boss, he sent a watchman to come and pick up the petition. And that we don't understand governance, and that we don't have, Adongo and Co. has no fair idea about Bank of Ghana. We told them that they were not even managing the fiscal discipline well, and the liquidity they were having, they were just splitting and chopped. The NPP, the then, and kind of Oriata, pour insult on us in NDC. Today, look at what happened. How much do we lose this year again? Every year since 2016 up to now, the Bank of Ghana has...
They took over 2017.
2017, the Bank of Ghana in every year has issues. It's just because they have no fair idea of the management of the economy. And I don't want to sit here and do propaganda, but I can assure you, what I will say, the figures were put out. It's not for me to sit down here and break it again. I want to assure Ghanaians that as Atufosi has put in measures that we should use to recapitalize to revamp the BOG, I want to assure Ghanaians that we'll put in discipline measures and put things in place as we are doing in the energy sector now, so that we'll reset this country and make Ghana work again.
That's what you're going to do?
Yeah.
Now, talking about that, he also suggested a lease of the headquarters. So do you agree?
Those are the proposals the Bank of Ghana has brought. And the Bank of Ghana brought in proposals, and the Finance Minister also brought in another proposal for us to be able to resolve it. He brought in the proposal of the transfer of assets.
Yeah.
They brought in a proposal of recapitalizing the budgetary recapitalization or something. And they also brought in a suggestion of a proposal of leasing. So I think
we have the leasing of the new headquarters, the cutting of expenditure and reducing events, and selling of assets.
These are measures that we can do to bring BOG back. So I think that in their own wisdom, good measures will be put in place, and it will come up to Ghanaians to know what we'll do to make sure that we can be proud of having a central bank now.
But Ghanaians are wondering, okay, if we are leasing it to, a company or something, how are we benefiting? Because we've seen previous, where sometimes they lease assets, and then the number of years that the assets is leased for, we Ghanaians are the ones, because this is our taxpayers' money, so we are the ones that struggle.
So, Rosa, I agree with you. But the fact of the matter is that we need to make sure that proper things are done. And then I think that the BOG and the Ministry of Finance will let Ghanaians know as it started. I don't know because they put this information out there, we will not know. So let us stay put to make sure that what we need to do is that our central bank will have to come back and work at it.
All right. Ezekiel, let me bring you in.
Roslyn, clearly, we all know the mandates of the central bank. It's not a commercial bank to post profit. like we have other commercial banks do. We all know it's more policy, intervention, and making sure that our banks, are in proper place, and whatever the nation needs to do in terms of managing resources, including currency disparities and all that, is well catered for by Bank of Ghana. Now, the mandate or the purpose necessarily, like I said, is not to make profits, but to decrease your losses as much as possible, because there are a lot of things that the Bank of Ghana does that we do not pay for. For example, printing of currencies and all that. The country as Ghana, we do not pay for printing of currencies. There are elsewhere we don't pay, as in we the people do not pay for printing of currencies. Elsewhere in other countries,
Bank of Ghana,
we are not billed.
It's not free.
It's Bank of Ghana printing our currencies and incurring those operational losses as a bank.
As a bank?
Yes, as a bank.
What about the taxpayers?
But that's the central bank.
I'm saying that the central bank is there to have its operations, which are not necessarily directly transferred onto the Ghanaian.
Okay,
In other countries, yes, it is done. So certain people, economists, have even suggested that no matter what, they are going to have certain, sometimes, operational losses incurred. And if that's the case...
If you don't mind me asking this question, okay, I know you're making a point, but sorry to cut you. If you don't mind me asking you this question, you did say printing of currencies is incurred, the cost is incurred by Bank of Ghana.
It's borne by Bank of Ghana.
But anytime Bank of Ghana goes into debt, we, the people, are the ones that will struggle. So indirectly, we have to pay.
Bank of Ghana going into debt does not translate into your national debt.
No, whether it translates into it or not, like so right now they want to, so they've used taxpayers' money to build a headquarters. Yeah. Now the headquarters is there, and we are being told that to to clear off this loss, what do we have to do? Lease it. Is it not we, the taxpayers' money, that has gone to a loss?
I don't think that the narrative was to clear our debt.
No, but it's to bring back the whole loss, right?
It's not bring back the whole loss. It's to recapitalize, recapitalizing the bank.
It's the same.
It's different from, clearing a debt.
No, okay. But even if it's not debt and it's, recapitalization, still, our monies are in there. Indirectly?
Indirectly, yes. But operationally, salaries and everything included, right? The Bank of Ghana is sort of self-functioning. It's catered for itself through the work it does. But moving away from that, of course, we are all for a stronger central bank, which has more liquidity, which is operating within its mandates, making sure that whatever it's intended to do, it's being done, and becoming more like an example to the commercial bank. If I'm the one controlling you or supervising you, and I'm always incurring debts, definitely, I wouldn't have the moral courage to go to the commercial banks to make sure that I put in certain measures to necessarily force them not to, in quote, mismanage whatever they have, their assets. But it was very calculated, the move by the Bank of Ghana to throw in this, to curtail the issue of the doomsday levy that was imposed on Ghanaian. Because yes, we go to online media, and we open our radios and TV sets, and all we are discussing is doomsday levy. So yes, what can government do to sort of level the playing ground, or perhaps switch the argument, outside the domain of what government has imposed on the Ghanaian? So therefore, let's put in something. And I was quite surprised that it has featured or has found its way into a discussion this morning. But of course, I do not control the narrative when it comes to what needs to be discussed on this set. But clearly, the Bank of Ghana and whatever the government sought to do, the government is sort of realizing it. Because yes, we need to discuss Bank of Ghana, but there is bread and butter issue that is facing the Ghanaian.
And you don't think this is bread and butter?
This is an indirect matter. We are talking of what will kill us before the debts.
How is indirect? How is this indirect? Let me bring Kofi in and ask Kofi how this is indirect, because
you are interrupting.
No, I'm just asking you a question. You definitely, I just want to find out. I just I just want to find out. You know, Ezekiel is saying indirectly, it's like Ghanaians are not being affected by this, and so we shouldn't bother
I'm
ourselves.
saying that the Doomsday levy will kill us
before this will kill us, so we shouldn't talk about this.
No, so let's take care of what will kill us immediately.
Isn't this why we are where we are today, where we are seeing Bank of Ghana incurring these losses? Because for us as citizens, we feel this is not a need. We shouldn't concentrate on it. We should concentrate on other things, and Bank of Ghana will be incurring the loss, and at the end of the day, as citizens, we end up paying.
Well, Rosalie, usually when we have an inflation glory, we give it to the finance minister. But I've always said that it is a central bank that has the mandate to control inflation or to put inflation in a bracket that is accepted by the country. And if the Bank of Ghana keeps making losses, and in basic economics, there's something we call moral suasion of the central bank, and it's not able to use that mandate to even control its subordinate, which are the commercial bank. The Bank of Ghana finds itself in a very difficult situation where if the bank is not able to come in to mop up excess liquidity to keep inflation in a very contained bracket and also allow Ghanaians to have high purchasing power, then it means that will affect we as ordinary Ghanaians. And Doc actually made mention of operational cost, and then the fact that we've been printing money, and that's not a direct cost to the Ghanaians. But the Bank of Ghana didn't just start printing money in 2022. It's been there since its establishment. And you can see the graph that I have on the screen where between 2008 and 2016, the bank was still printing money but was able to make profits. And as a result of that, we even have the bank hospital where some of these profits were actually transferred to build the hospital. But what we have seen is that there's an outlier in 2022 and beyond. And it's simply because of the domestic debt exchange program. It's a fact that we cannot run away from. And it's been there. It's in the 2022 fiscal report, 2023 fiscal report, 2024 fiscal report. It finds itself in why? Because the Bank of Ghana went on a mission to save government in 2022, and it had to sacrifice over 40 billion Ghana cedis. That money doesn't belong to Bank of Ghana. That money has to be recapitalized. That money must come back for the bank to have a positive equity. That is the kind of conversation we are having.
Thank you very much.
And it really affects Ghanaians because if the bank continues to make losses, it means that the bank cannot come into the market to do mop-up when they feel that they need to keep inflation at a point for you and I to have, purchasing power to go up and then also to borrow at a very low, cost.
Great. And this DDEP, people lost their lives out.
Absolutely.
So
Clearly, if A equals B equals C equals D, therefore A equals D. My position is what your expert analyst has just put out. No one is saying that it's a positive indicator for the central bank to make losses. Like I said, if you are the one managing me, supervising me, and you keep posting losses, what moral authority would you have to even come and supervise and control me to make sure that I stay in line to serve the Ghanaian? So clearly, we need to look at the central bank. Recapitalization, assets, whatever, we need to clearly have a discussion to make sure that the Bank of Ghana is performing its mandates. And your analyst, once again, made a very positive and strong statement that the Bank of Ghana stepped in to help government in 2022. And that's part of the Bank of Ghana's mandate, that in times of emergency, the Bank of Ghana becomes the backbone or the cushioning of the government. So whatever the Bank of Ghana did in 2022 is not outside its mandate. Let's put that on record. But once again, I'm saying that this attempt to water down the effect and the discussion on the Doomsday levy is the reason why the Bank of Ghana deliberately posted
deliberately?
Yes, we are deliberate to post this
You don't
report
think it's transparency that Ghanaians need to
we
know?
can.
How is this deliberate? Let's not play propaganda with it. How is this deliberate?
There is a timeline.
That is my opinion. That's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. And we are saying that what will kill the Ghanaian before all that narrative your expert analyst gave us is the Doomsday levy. It will kill the Ghanaian before recapitalization.
That one Ghana cedis will kill the Ghanaians.
Yes, yes.
But the DDEP that was killing Ghanaians was...
That's your argument. Fantastic. You are right to have your argument. You are right to have your say. If that's the angle you want to push, it's perfectly understood. My angle is that the Doomsday levy will kill the Ghanaian
than the DDEP?
Before the losses, so-called, at Bank of Ghana.
Okay, all right.
So indeed, in discussing this argument, let's also remind the Ghanaian that as part of the losses, the central bank losses that has been posted, government is also imposing 1 cedi on every litre of fuel the Ghanaian will have to buy. So if you are a Ghanaian, and from next week, I understand the postponement of what the start or the commencement of the 1 cedi per litre and policy my good brother and his government has imposed insensitively on the Ghanaian. It's been postponed. However, when the time comes for us to go to the pump, to go and buy fuel, and the fuel has been increased, it affects every facet of our living as a people.
Thank you very much, Ezekiel.
You interrupted me for about 5 minutes. And you give
Don't worry, we still have more time. Let me go to Nanaya.
You give my time to speak.
My producers are in my ear, so it's not me. My producers are
They don't want to say what I have to say. My brother had a seamless...
he barely spoke 2 minutes.
Mine is loaded with interjections.
1 minute. Let me give you 1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute.
So yes, let's discuss Bank of Ghana and its losses, but let's also address the elephant in the room, which is currently what the Ghanaian is faced with. That the 4.5 cedi per gallon we are going to pay has the propensity to affect every aspect of our lives. Transport fares, housekeeping money, cost of commodity, cost of food items on the market. And like I said, these things will kill us before the recapitalization of the Bank of Ghana.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Ezekiel. And Anaya.
Rosalind, thank you. And a good morning to my brothers. It's an interesting discussion. And when I got in and I was being mic'd, I asked your producer, why are we doing an analysis from 2008 through 2018 through to 2025? I saw it to be too much of a long span for us to be able to have a very good understanding of the situation in which we are. I know what your business desk was trying to do was to do what we call the comparative financial analysis. I think we have 5 basic financial analysis. We have the horizontal, the vertical, then you break it down, the ratio, and then we have the comparative. But in my view, if you are doing a comparative analysis, at least they are the most that would help us all to have a better understanding would probably be in a span of 5 years.
So well, we actually chose 2008 because it was right after the renomination.
No, I really understand, but you see, the elements that informed the statement, okay, that was core on redenomination in 2008 has no relative effect on what is happening now. The environments are very much different. If you are going to pick an environment where we had IMF, and then we have the IMF conditions, and probably because there were no DDEP at the time, that would be quite understood. But bringing the redenomination down up until now, this is just my view.
Okay.
Yeah, and in this space of 7
you are the expert.
We've had 3 IMF programs in there.
But only one has the DDEP.
Exactly.
Yes.
And
So
we brought this long space for you to understand why the DDP is making the loss in 2022.
And the person who says redenomination on its own is a core thing. It's a bedrock of it's the whole definition.
Okay, but then we are looking at the losses though. Yes.
That's just my view.
Okay.
Now the other issue is we should be looking also at the causes. Okay, of the losses that the BOG has been on. Now, when Doug, I saw a medical doctor. When he was no, I want it in perspective because I will use his field as an example.
But he's a medical doctor.
Yes, he is. I just want to confirm. You know, it's just like asking the question in a simple terms: what is an agama lizard? And then the person sees that an agama lizard is an animal that is in the forest that goes onto the neem tree. So in this perspective, a neem tree now is, then you begin to describe a neem tree. The analysis on the table, the discussion on the table is BOG losses. It has nothing to do with a 1 cedi.
My microphone.
Levy that we have. Let's not mix it up.
Well, he was making a point, which
I just want us to. I just want us to understand. So, what we are looking at is what caused or what made us to get where we are today. If you listen to your business desk man, all right,
Kofi,
the one of the major causes of our losses is the DDEP. Now, is the DDEP the responsibility of BOG? Is it their core mandate? That's number one. Number two, if you are looking at what I call the collapse of our banks, which also cost the BOG a lot of money, it was that their core mandate. Was it necessary that you go to borrow to come and collapse banks? What was the effect? We should make the ordinary Ghanaian understand that in as much as the Bank of Ghana is owned by the state, and I just want him to understand. He made a point about the fact that the losses are not going to be paid by Ghanaians. And for that matter,
no, eventually he said it will, though.
But
he said it's not direct like one Ghana cedis that we are paying, right?
That's what I said. I said that, I mean, you are quoting me, so you need to be fair.
What did you
I didn't say Ghanaians are not going to pay. I'm saying that in certain scenarios, the central bank will incur some losses.
Yeah.
And their activities, including operational costs and all that, would incur costs, which necessarily are not directly borne by the Ghanaian.
I don't know. So let's pause it there. So who owns BOG? The state. Who is the state? Ghanaians. So at the end of the day, who owns BOG? Ghanaians. So if you own a company and there are losses, who pays for it? The owners of the company. If there are profits and they have to pay dividends, who gets the dividends? The owners of the companies, those who have shares, those who have equity. You understand? And the entire share, 100%, is owned by Ghanaians. So at the end of the day, the Ghanaian would bear the cost. So whether or not, it is the ordinary Ghanaian that is still going to pay for the losses of BOG. But Rosalind, moving away from understanding what caused BOG, the huge losses, because the revaluation of our currency is about 3.49 billion Ghana cedis. The open market operations of the BOG cost us 8.6, and the currency issue expenses cost us 1.01. I was just trying to have a review of some old news here. In 2018, so August 2019, this news came up. It says BOG spends 153 million on printing CD notes in 2018. So I just want us to understand that indeed we pay for the printing of our currency, just like every other nation. All right, we pay to the agencies that print, and they just.
He didn't say we don't pay, though. He didn't say that. I think. Please correct it.
It appears my brother's submission.
Ezekiel, please correct it.
I will not do that. It appears my brother's submission.
The Bank of Ghana last spent.
You claim that the discussion borders on losses by the BOG, so we shouldn't digress to go and talk about Dumsor levy. Fit to you is not important.
Are you making a statement or you want to correct the narrative?
Whatever.
All right. So the Bank of Ghana last year spent
without bringing me in, so
more than 153 million to distract you.
So that's why
you are not distracting me. I said make a point you make.
So
I don't want to
saying.
So you go ahead and make your argument. Don't make your argument about me.
Ezekiel, he can't actually say what you said, but if he's misquoting you, just correct him. That's why I asked you.
Don't make your argument about me. Go ahead. Yeah.
But
the Dumsor levy is not important to you, so we shouldn't discuss it.
No, but he's talking about Dumsor levy.
In discussing the losses.
So the Bank of Ghana last year spent.
Can I have my
all right, Ezekiel.
So the Bank of Ghana last year spent. I'm reading
a minute
from the
more
paragraph.
though. Yes, your time.
Last year spent more than 153 million to print country's legal tender, the cedi. The amount spent includes the actual cost of printing legal tender, fees paid to the agency that supervises the printing process. So I just want us to understand that indeed we pay for the printing of our currency. Recapitalization, all right. Basically, recapitalization has to do with the restructuring of a company's debt. You understand? So a company has debts and you would have to restructure it, the equity mixture, and just to stabilize the finances of the organization. BOG, since 2018, if my memory serves me right, from what Kofi said, has been operating on positives. Boom into 2022, they zoomed into negatives. All right. Now, if they have to do anything to recapitalize, the budgetary suggestion that was made, whereby government of Ghana would have to absorb it into its budget to recapitalize, would definitely not work. Why? Because at the end of the day, government itself, as it stands, will be struggling to be able to finance its own budget. Number two, the suggestion that we would have to transfer assets, I personally do not think that would have to be done. But see, BOG has very good assets that can operate to generate some funds. Are we looking at that? Do we have to
The selling of the assets?
Not necessarily selling.
That's the suggestion
Leasing.
coming from leasing off the headquarters and selling of assets.
No,
assets.
I'm thinking, that's what I'm talking about. We don't have to sell. If we are able to lease the headquarters of BOG and they have other assets like the bank, hospital, they have, some of the other regional offices are theirs. They are owned by BOG. They have other investments that sometimes they do not actually make us know. If all of those assets are operational and we are able to lease them for a longer period to be able to generate funds for this recapitalization, I think that we should be able to do that. I do not succumb to this idea of selling of assets. Okay. I have never been for it, okay? If we want to lease it, let us look at those ones that are profitable. And then BOG should also be able to come up with some other suggestions that would be able to bring up other diverse investments to be able to generate more.
I was going to ask that because leasing, we know our port has also been leased and people are talking about it. So this whole leasing...
It's part of the port, not all the ports.
Whichever. What part of the port?
It's empty.
Okay, so that's fine. No, but I'm just saying, people are not too happy when we do this leasing thing. People say, you lease it for these number of years. It's not we are not happy. It's supposed to be for us. And that's why I'm saying if there are other things that can be done...
Yes, but where we are, there is nothing we can do. It's a necessary evil now.
Okay.
We would have to be able to do it to be able to sustain BOG. During the campaign in 2024, we had made a suggestion that BOG was bankrupt. And I think from 2023, 2024, the government of the day came out strongly to debunk the statement that BOG was bankrupt. If we had accepted the faults of BOG at the time and had worked towards dealing with the bankruptcy nature of BOG.
Rather than building the headquarters?
Rather than building, of course. Okay. You don't have money and you are doing capital expenditure.
Let me come to Richard though.
Let's be real.
Rosalind, I think that the analysis has been made, but my brother exactly wanted to play politics in this. We all know the situation of the BOG, and as we said, it's one of the major problems is the DDEP. And you come to tell us that now, we are going to die now because they are imposing one e-levy on the Ghanaian tax. We have forgotten that there's an elderly woman who has taught from class 1 for so many years, that has invested his money, there was haircut, and that person is gone. That one is not dead. You want to tell us that when the inflation becomes very high and price of goods and services we can't afford, it won't kill Ghanaians. You see, we should stop this politics and then we work together to build the country. The fact is that your government collapsed BOG. And we demonstrated. Ghanaians came out to tell you that this was the situation. You denied it. Last year, 2024, before 2024, I think it was about 13 billion. And yet, 2023, about 14 billion. And now 9 billion. And this, we all know how you spend money during the elections. And you come to tell us that it doesn't affect Ghanaians. we want to urge Ghana to cooperate with us. We will make sure that all the necessary things we have to do to make sure that BOG works again, we will do it.
All right, thank you very much. Ezekiel.
It's fantastic you are in government. As part of your demonstrations, my brother, what you told the Ghanaian was that you were going to give back their monies to them. The DDEP. I mean, sorry to anyone that was affected. If I had my monies there and it was even 1 cedi, that was my hard-earned money.
I've been affected though.
Sorry.
Yeah.
If I had my 1 cedi there, that was my 1 cedi. But the good thing was that the NDC campaigned vehemently and told us that it was the MPP that was insensitive. And if they come, they are going to reinstate so-called collapsed banks, give their license back to them to operate.
If they need B, that's what we said.
Oh, now you are adding,
No.
It was
No. This is the need B.
Secondly,
so don't come and change
secondly,
and maybe look
well,
at
there's the need.
So let me the need
Secondly,
B. Yes.
you told the Ghanaian that anyone that was affected by the domestic debt exchange program, you are going to be reimbursed in full. That's what you told them. So granted MPP was insensitive. Granted MPP wrecked people's homes. It's the reason why the Ghanaian voted for you. Now you have power.
But that's what we are doing.
So go back.
We want to do, let Ghanaians know that is what we are doing.
Rather coming here.
We are proposing, we are bringing proposals.
Points, please.
Rather, instead of coming here, to come and recreate the same rhetorics you did last year during campaign. Show the way. Go ask Ghanaians to come and line up.
Kofi, can you read the budget of the Minister of Finance when they talk about BOG?
Richard, please let him make
and give them their money.
That
That is what the Ghanaian wants to see. Action. My brother, call the Ghanaian who was affected by the DDEP and give their monies back to them. That's what you promised them. Call the bank owners and tell them that the MPP collapsed your bank. We all know the reports the same BOG brought in 2015 concerning the banking situation. And what the government of the day, then President Mahama, did in his right senses, which was the right thing to do, to recapitalize the bank. But it was as if we were going to fetch water with a sieve. And what the government had to do, every analyst, anyone, has said that, yes, we can discuss or make an argument out of how much was spent in recapitalizing the bank and taking the bank from its owners into a different vehicle to function. But the core thing that was done was never a wrong thing to do, but for politics. So go back.
Which one was never?
Merging the banks and taking the management from those who were managing the banks at the time. That's what the NDC said, we collapsed the banks.
No.
But the report during your time, in 2015, and what President Mahama did, which was the right thing to do to recapitalize the bank.
What are you saying?
And the aftermath thereof.
So you are saying
so
that
today,
the collapse of those banks were good. That's what you're saying?
Today, the most important thing is that you are in power. You told the people were going to give them their monies. Give them their monies. That is what you need to do.
So
you told the banks that you were going to give their license back to them. Give their license back to them.
All right, Ezekiel. Kofi, in this conversation is just something else because it looks like there'll be shifting of blame all the time anytime we bring this conversation. The NPP says that, what we did was not that wrong from what Ezekiel is saying. The collapse of the bank and merging and giving it to other people to manage wasn't that bad. That's what he's saying. Now, the NDC also says that was bad. Now, if we look at the kind of losses that we have incurred now, especially going to DDEP, we could have prevented it if only we had managed the economy better, right?
Absolutely, and Rosalind, in fact, in economics, there is nothing like a free lunch. And so Ghanaians must get that, and it should sink in, that if you enjoy free light or if you enjoy stable power, you might either pay through DDEP or a tax. And in fact, nothing in this economy is free. Nothing that government gives is a full subsidy. You definitely would have to pay it either through taxes or other forms. But the most important question is, how do we get the Apex Bank to actually move from a negative equity of almost 59 billion Ghana cedis into a positive equity? And I understand that the Bank of Ghana is not there for profitability, but its financial position paints a picture of how the economy is actually, the nature of the economy that we are operating. And the most important thing we need to also put across is that this is the only central bank that we have. And if the central bank loses its independence through some of these, losses, then there's a need for us to possibly always rely on, some headmasters like the IMF and other things. The current position of the central bank is that, look, we are using the stability of the country, of the currency to bring back the central bank. One thing that ran through this year's, last year's report is that, in fact, currency depreciation was one of the main reasons why the Bank of Ghana was posting a lot of losses. And this year we've seen a lot of stability. And so going forward, we are projecting that if we are able to sustain this kind of positive outlook in terms of the currency and the exchange rate, Bank of Ghana could be recovering faster than we saw in the previous years. But the most important thing we need to put across is that there are two things that are currently pulling back the Ghanaian economy. First is energy, and the second one is the exchange rate situation. And so if we're able to tackle these two, the country will be in a better position.
All right, Kofi, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We are grateful. All right. So, Nana, you wanted to say something before I read messages, right? When you land, I'll read a few messages.
On the issue of mergers of banks, see, let us understand that the Ministry of Finance had an option of recapitalization and change management, all right, bringing the management of these banks under a supervision of an external consultancy whatsoever, for them to be able to regulate all activities of these banks. Now, how much did it cost government to merge the banks? If you would need a 9 million Ghana cedis for a recapitalization and change management, and you opt to use 22 million to rather collapse the banks, if Ghana as a company was yours, which one would you pick? That you can use 9 million to recapitalize, have change management and bring it under the supervision of external persons, all right, and have a restructuring and put them back on their strategic plan path, and the use of a 22 million Ghana cedis to merge and stroke or collapse other banks, making them one. As a manager, which one would you opt for? Well, let us be realistic and honest to Ghanaians when it comes to some of these things.
Let me read a few comments that have come in. Good morning, I'm Eben from Kwabenya. Fellow Ghanaians, let's support the government with the 1 Ghana cedi levy to solve the doomsday issues in the country in regards to Ajahawa GRA. All right. Good morning to you. One area where Ghana can focus its efforts is on improving education and healthcare systems. Access to quality education and healthcare service is essential for unlocking the full potential of the country's human capital and boosting productivity by investing in these sectors and ensuring that every Ghanaian has access to quality education and healthcare. The country can create a more equitable society and empower its citizens to lead fulfilling lives. Good morning, Joy Prime. What has become of the alleged quack doctor, Sansa? All right. I believe there are more of those fake quack elements in the system. All right. Thank you very much, MEK. The nurses should give us a break when they were doing a zoo and Mahama is the who. They didn't know what was in there. Ishmael Opare Nyanse from Takrady. We are going to be talking about the nurses saying that they want a better condition of service. That's our next conversation coming up. Good morning, Madam Roslyn, and your panelists. I'm Big Alasko from Garu Tempane. And my greetings to all the youth in Tempane constituency. How can the whole central bank of our country is making laws like this? Some years back, they were making profit, but when Yanum took over, it started making losses. If NPP were to be in power for the next 4 years, then they would have sold the central bank. Ghana, save Mother Ghana. Teacher Kojo from Tepa Yisuano says that when you are in opposition, you might think everything is easy until you come into office and face a reality before making a U-turn. That's what is happening to the NDC now, blaming the NPP government for economic hardship, knowing that COVID has come to collapse the world economy. They are now facing the reality of their propaganda. Greetings to Chairman Odeneho Kweku Apia Koka. All right, from Honorable Akismian, he says that Let's set the record straight. Under the NPP, fuel prices were 17 Ghana cedis per litre. The current government has reduced it to 11 Ghana cedis per litre with a 1 Ghana cedis tax, making it 12 Ghana cedis per litre. Still, 5 Ghana cedis lower than NPP's price. Not to mention, the ECG debt Ghanaians are paying wasn't caused by this government, but accumulated during NPP's tenure. NDC's efforts are bringing relief to Ghanaians. Musa Abattoir from Asawase says that President Mahama has shown clear commitment to improving living conditions for all, including nurses. Though he's only been in office for 5 months, steps are being taken. The Labour Minister is reviewing past agreements on nurses' conditions of service to make informed decisions. Nurses are encouraged to end the strike and continue dialogue with the government. Master Planner Junior Kintampo says Bank of Ghana loss is worrying, but the most worrying thing currently is the Dumso levy. The government is stealing 1 Ghana cedis from our tanks on every 1 litre of fuel. All the appointees who don't buy fuel are happy because they won't pay some, unlike e-levy that everyone pays. Was that why they cancelled e-levy and introduced a D-levy? Is it Faketwa Beje Kesie government? All right, Master Planner says so. Good morning, Roslyn. Please let the MPP man know that e-levy, COVID levy, rubbish levy, and betting tax didn't kill some of we Ghanaians. So-called D-levy will not kill us. Daniel from Ho. Okay. I fear Winneba says, fuel levy, Mr. President, please, Ghanaians are suffering. What ECG should do is to collect the millions owed by government institutions and individuals. Every Ghanaian should be on prepaid meters to force them to pay. Utilities have already gone up. Good morning, Madam Host. How much did Nana Jane spend on private jets? So we want to see Ablakwa resign now. The dollar man who is now going around with his car sharing. Hey, you'll be wearing some of your messages that you send. There's like forwarded messages. So, Akonse Gariba from Tamale, some of your propaganda messages, please hold on. Not this station. Maybe another station will read it, but not here. Thank you very much. Akonse Gariba from Tamale says, good morning, Roslyn. The NDC administration should stop the lamentation and the blame game and go ahead to roll out their solutions to the country's economic challenges as they promised Ghanaians in opposition. Ghanaians will not accept the killer Dumso levy from President Mahama now. The truth shall make Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia the next president of Ghana. Hassan Cisse from Zenu Central says that how long will the BOG continue to be making losses and the economy was still struggling to survive, but ended up giving Ghanaians head cuts and taking pensioners and bondholders hard-earned funds. These and other things like the $58 million that was used to dig the largest hole in the middle of Accra is a much reason why we need Ken Ofori-Atta to be investigated. Good morning, Joy Prime. Paying additional 1 Ghana cedis and petrol is 12 Ghana better than paying 17 Ghana cedis a litre. This was S Ferries from Tamale. All right, hey, I'll do just, let me see, I'll try and do maybe 2 or 3 and then we can go. Good morning, Roslyn. I think Ezekiel does not understand the banking business well. If this current government gives the license that your government baselessly revoked, it will not make any banking sense because their customers and other clients are already gone and the image of those banks are also gone. Your government just wanted to show some persons how power could be abused. This from I think this is an allegation, right? Because you're saying that this is what they said, but it's an allegation. What do you say?
Didn't they know they had already lost their customer before they promised?
Okay. All right, so let's see. I don't think he is speaking on any political basis. I think he's okay. All right. Hey, my country Ghana, we don't want Dumso, but we don't want to pay tax. Seriously, wow. Good morning, Rosalie, and your panelist, Letitia Ayombil, inside Tema Polyclinic. One more message, and then I can go into my next topic for this morning. Good morning, Madam Roslyn. It's the central bank makes profits. If the central bank makes profit for public trust and confidence, but there are more challenges, issues than these. The goodwill NDC is enjoying has just started. Oh, your English, I don't know.
You can edit and read it.
I'm struggling. Okay, so I'll try, and it's a lot. It's a lot. So you see. Is it good? This one, yeah, it will be difficult. I will lie to you. Okay, so this was Rosalie. We are talking about BOG's 9.5 billion Ghana cedis loss and not Dumsor levy. The MPP can do all the propaganda. Nobody cares. Yeji is Sika free. The MPP thieves. Oral must work. Mowat inside Saturday. Let me do something for. Okay. Good morning, Ajay Roslin. Special greetings to Hafia Mohammed, incoming MPP. Okay. My senior executive has made my morning great submission with facts and figures. All right. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, I can't read anymore, but keep your messages coming. I'll come back and read them. Let's take a look at what the nurses are saying. The nurses are not too happy. Conditions of service. Well, let me quickly read a few of the conditions of service that they are asking for, and let's see how fair this is. As a nurse, Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association are not too happy. They want their conditions of service to be looked at, and this is what they said. Looking at what we have, the only tool we have that we can take to that, to let the employer listen, is that we have taken and we pass through due process. That is the strike that they have decided to go on. Now, this is what they are looking for. They are looking for a 13th month salary, fuel and medical allowance, rural incentive allowance, renewal of practicing license, and uniforms for the striking health workers.
Yes, that.
Why are you like this? Why are you like this? Let's take a look at the report. They ask for more, though. They are asking for more. They want more nurses to be employed because as of now, they are, yes, to be employed because they have too many nurses who are at home. Let's take a look at the report.
Across the country, patients are being turned away untreated, and in some cases in critical conditions. At the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, doctors were forced to juggle their core duties with additional responsibilities. Dr. Leslie Issa Adam Zakaria is the medical doctor.
The labor ward where pregnant women come to when they are about to deliver, we don't have nurses at post. So what it means is that we are challenged in receiving new patients. We are challenged in receiving patients coming from the house to see us. For instance, on a daily basis, we see over 600 outpatients. But yesterday, because of the withdrawal of service, we saw less than 100. And it was even, there was rain, so I'm sure the impact was not felt as much as we anticipate today.
Health Minister Kobina Minta Kando is urging restraint, calling on striking nurses and midwives to return to the negotiation table.
When you don't have anybody to listen to you, when nobody is opening his or her door to you, you have nobody to hear you out, and you are frustrated, and you are embarking on such an action. I mean, you have every right to do so. It is not when we are ready. Anytime both officials and non-officials to listen to you to find solutions, with the greatest of respect. Life lost can never be retrieved. And that is what I think we must all consider.
The National Labour Commission has declared the strike illegal and has ordered an immediate return to work.
And the reason why we are also asking them to call off the strike is to enable parties engaged to reach an amicable settlement. It is unfortunate if they are unwilling to call off the strike, but it's prudent that they call off the strike so that we can, parties can reach a settlement.
Imagine being sick, having an emergency and going to the hospital where you have to be turned away because the nurses are on strike, and that's the current state that we are in as a country. The nurses are asking for certain conditions from the government. Now, these are a few of the conditions they are asking for. They say they want unpaid allowances to be paid, delayed postings to be done. They are also asking for a 13th month salary, fuel and medical allowance, also rural incentive allowance, renewal of practicing license and uniforms for the striking health workers. I should start from something. But you are a medical doctor.
He says you should start from me. Don't worry, you can start from me.
Doctor, I have to come to you.
Where do I practice in school?
Let's start by...
Is it a fair call, though?
every health worker deserves any or every best thing in the world. I mean, our work, we don't show working what we have to deal with on a daily basis. And our practice is such that we are taught to be modest in terms of, our outlook and all that. So a doctor or a nurse or a midwife will do a lot during his or her shift, but it will go unnoticed. And that is our calling, and we don't have any problem with that. And I'm just baffled.
Why?
Why would nurses be calling for extra hands? That we need more people to come and help the work. It's not like we don't have the nurses. We have them at home. We just need more people to come and help us work to serve the Ghanaian better. And we couldn't respond to such need. This is a government that promised us 3 shifts, 3 persons, 3 salaries. So with your own 24-hour economy that you preached, the least the government could have done was to employ about 50,000 nurses by now. But they wrote a budget to present to Parliament and by extension Ghanaians. And 24-hour economy never found any expression in the budget. Yet nurses are home. They are not lazy, in quotes. They just want to work. And you preach to every Ghanaian that, you know what, I have the medicine to solve the unemployment issue, Tatashi. Which is that when I come, I'm coming to employ you in larger doses. But nurses are calling for extra hands, and government is not giving them. The condition of service they are asking for, not that they are asking for, Rosalind, it's already signed. There is an agreement between nurses, midwives, and the government.
In 2024.
Which was already signed. So just go ahead and implement it. We preach so much that we're going to do a lot for the Ghanaian. Yet, for example, look at the budget. Agenda 111. Even to build hospitals or complete hospitals so that you could get more hands to go and work and take care of the ailment the Ghanaian is going through, government is not doing anything to any of the hospitals that were not completed. Do we really care about the Ghanaian? Someone has started, built 20 hospitals, built 15 polyclinics, built over 100 health centers, and started the most daring health infrastructure program in the country, Agenda 111.
But let's not forget that government hasn't started spending yet.
Oh, right? So who is asking government not to spend? The 75 million that was approved for government communications at the Jubilee House. Is government not spending? Government is spending. But why are we spending? We've approved 75 million Ghana cedis for government communications, manned by 5 people at the Jubilee House. And we are saying government is not spending. Government is spending. The Doomsday levy they are going to collect. Isn't government going to spend the money? Government is going to spend it. The recent increment, electricity bills, the 14.75%, government is taking money. Government is spending.
Hold on spending.
Why would you put on hold spending that will benefit the Ghanaian?
But it's going to be.
But the one that you need to run your office, you are approving a whooping 75 million Ghana cedi to run communications at the Jubilee House. And you are telling us that you won't spend on our health. Is that why we voted for government? You won't spend on our nurses to return to work, but you will spend on government communications. Government is spending, Rosalind, that's what the people. Government is spending. But are they spending the right places? They are not spending on infrastructure. They are not spending on health. They are not spending much on education. Nothing more has added, but government is spending.
All right.
So the agreement is already signed. The nurse or the health worker or the government worker today is already dealing with a lot. 14.75% increment in electricity bill, 4.02% in water bill. Aside that, had it not been the oil marketing companies, from today, Doomsday levy of 4.5 Ghana cedi on every gallon of fuel would have come on board.
All right.
And affected every facet of our economy.
Okay.
Food staff. How much are we paying on food staff today? So yes, we are already dealing with a lot. And government is spending, but government is not spending on us. Government is spending on itself.
All right, thank you very much.
We just need to implement the condition of service that was agreed and signed.
Okay, thank you.
People to return to work.
All right.
People are dying.
All right.
We need our nurses and midwives on the ward to take care of us.
All right, don't worry. I'll come back to you. Richard?
Rosalind, it's unfortunate that we play propaganda to all issues like this. This is a national security issue. And my brother will sit here. We are talking about nurses. He's a medical practitioner. He knows the implication, and he knows what happened at the ward. And so if you have anything to talk about, let's diverse on the issue. Call on our brothers and sisters, the nurses and midwives, to go back to post and urge government to, as a matter of agency, to resolve the problem. That is what a Ghanaian does. I've worked in a facility before. In my part of my life, I've worked in a hospital so many years in my life. And I know, I empathize with them because I know what a nurse or a midwife goes through in the ward. As you rightly said, the job the nurses do at the ward, Rosalind, if you know, anytime you see a nurse outside, you have to praise the person. But because it doesn't go with cameras, because they don't go there with, with TikTok or any other thing, there are things that don't allow that. So we agree with them that they need to be properly taken care of. Rosalind, where some of us were in this country during the COVID, when they exposed the nurses to COVID and the government promised them of incentives, the government refused. We advocate for it. I've seen a nurse with a common prick on their hand, and now with HIV, which he knows.
I've taken a medication before.
And I'm saying that some of the nurses can even get a prick and get other infections. Yes. And there's a lot of things that, some cases, I can tell you, if you go to the ward and see a nurse, a medical officer conducting a case like typhus preparation, and the nurse and the orderly is there, if you're alone, you feel sorry. A nurse taking care of a strangulated hernia case, which will take a month or half at the ward, is a lot that they do. So I know, I have a fair idea about that situation. So what is happening and what they are calling for, it's their right. I will urge government to look at it and then the nurses go back to the ward. Because some patients come to the ward and they're just stranded to restless because they don't have somebody to take care of, take care of them. The medical doctor can be in the ward, but if there's no nurse and the medical officer prescribe the drugs, who is going to nurse the patient? That's why I'm saying that from an orderly to the paramedics, to the medical doctor in the ward, all of them must be taken care of. It's a very, very, very sensitive situation that I know. I won't sit here and come and say that what government is doing is good or not good. But I want to empathize with my friends and my brothers and sisters, the nurses. Just look at the human nature. You've been taught how you have to sympathize with patients. So as far as the government has not totally denied you of your benefit, but you want additional benefit, I will plead with them to let the leadership continue negotiation with government and then go back to work and save the patients.
But this is a case whereby they say every time is the same story.
Rosalind, I know.
So they go to the government, they tell the government this is the government who plead with them, they go to work, and then they never get what they deserve.
I know that there had been, since all successful government, it has been so. The nurses will struggle, make noise before they'll go on strike. I have always said that nurses and the police officer or an immigration officer, they have the same ranks. But you see, you don't see, I'm not saying rank because they are rated like that. I mean, their activities, their duties. So they are all essential economy. That's what it means. So you don't see a policeman going on strike. You don't see an immigration officer going on strike because of the national security of the issues. If people don't rescue you and you will die, it's a national security threat. So if a patient also dies in the ward because a nurse or a doctor is on strike, it's also a national security issue. So the minister has met with the leadership. And this is the situation that is a progressive discussion they are doing. The previous government has gone to a stage. We are also looking into the books. That's why the minister said, look, we accept the asset and liability. So you bear with us. We will make sure we look at it and proper things will be done.
For how long?
That's why I'm saying they should let the leadership go to the negotiations. As I'm talking to you today, the nurses and the midwives are withdrawing total service.
So isn't this the time where we should see government work with speed and say, we have taken a look at it? That's why they are.
So
so this is a case where we have taken a look at it. We have seen that we need to step up our game and see how best we solve the problem, because lives are being lost at this point.
That's what you see. The minister has started engaging. They even have to build some facilities. I want to urge government that, as a measure of agency, they should meet up with the leadership, and then they will return to work. But I want to plead with the nurses. Some patients are your relatives. It is you that is in Kolebu. Maybe you are from Kwanta. Maybe your mother is also going to Kwanta Hospital now. Maybe it is you that is in Kwanta. Maybe somebody, you are stationed there. Maybe your parents are in Bunkrubu. So it's affecting everybody. So far as the government have not seized their salary, let the leadership engage the government, give the government an ample time so the government look into it. Maybe you might not even know. This government that we are talking about has made health our priority. If you look at the hospitals we build, the chief compounds, the polyclinics, the regional hospitals that we were able to build and employ the nurses into the nursing profession. The NPP in 8 years didn't build any hospital, and they are saying that there are nurses that are at home that would need to be posted.
Okay.
No, if Agenda 111 were able to complete 101 hospitals, do you know the number of nurses we have mechanized them we have employed them to the system?
Okay.
If the chief compounds, if they've come to build aside, do you know the number of nurses that would? So we will definitely give them clearance and then recruit them. 8 years in your government, you've never gave the nurses a single clearance. And I'm telling you, it is under the NDC. And now, I'm telling you. Go and check.
Wait.
In 2016, Rosalind, it was in 2016. No, listen. It was in 2016 I will give the clearance. Okay? And when they came, they delayed it, and later part of 2017, 2018, then they recruited the nurses. Since then, they have not recruited any.
How long did they delay it for? How long did they delay it for, Richard? Because I remember when they issued a statement saying that there was going to be a hold. It took less than 10 days, and
no, that's not true.
Of the hold.
No. Go and check.
Anyway, let me go to another. Yes.
Who can handle that?
Ezekiel will definitely want to.
Oh my God!
I get sad when we try to play
politics with these things, right?
Politics with issues of health, with issues of education, with issues of energy. These are very fundamental security matters. I mean, if today you walk to the hospital and you are not able to get a nurse to attend to you, and you are in pain, you would understand the need not to play politics with whatever that is happening. Rosalind, I think that, but for the records, the National Association of Registered Midwives Ghana, that's the NARM Ghana, has publicly disassociated itself from the ongoing nationwide strike.
Okay.
And they have said that they are citing the lack of due process. And of course.
Please send me that link.
Yes, I would send it to you right away. And it's from one of your sister stations that I've just posted it. And so I sent it to Sheila, so I would also forward it to you. Rosalind, we are talking about lives here. We are talking about lives. We are talking about persons who are vulnerable, go into these hospitals and clinics and chip compounds to be attended to, and they do not have the opportunity to have nurses attending to them. How many of our nurses are home? What has been the system that have been put in place over the years? Rosalind, the point is that they have a way that they go by things. They have a procedure they have been following for quite some time now. They go through clearance, then they have this whole Ghana Health Service System with the negotiations with, what's the name, Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Health, and they have a way of enrolling these nurses and posting them. If that is something they would want to sit down to renegotiate and to tell the government that, listen, with the kind of work we are doing and the pressure that is on us, the load, we would have to review the processes that we have laid down. That is understandable. If they would have to look at their facilities and relook at all what they go through to be there, their welfare, it is something that every single Ghanaian would support them. As I sit here, I wasn't happy when I heard the nurses complain that even their uniforms, they themselves, they buy them. So I asked myself, what is the standard or the quality of the fabrics they even use? Because you see, they are going into places where they can easily, bacteria, contract, they contract bacteria. Now, doctor, you may also which one? That or a medical doctor. They can easily get infections and contaminations. Okay. So the quality of their fabric should even be of a certain standard. Why are we not able to provide it for them? The quality of the other wears, what they wear to the theater, all right? The medical what's the name? Scraps.
The scraps. But the scraps, do they buy themselves, Doc?
We all buy.
They buy. You know, and this has been issues that has been there over the years. Okay, so Rosalind, it is not something that any government can use a day or two to solve. But my question is, this conditions of service they are talking about was signed in 2024. I am told, per the information I have, that it was signed somewhere in the middle of the year. Almost a year. I mean, I think June, July, August. If I stand for correction, I do not have the date at hand. The ex-while administration, that we find their communicators hitting so hard that the government has days to implement, and so they should do, had over 6 months to have implemented these conditions for them. They had over 6 months to have dealt with their welfare matters. If it was something that was just by a stroke of a pen, I think they would have done it. So let us manage our expectations. The nurses should understand that these conditions, nobody, no single Ghanaian would not side with them, demanding that indeed their conditions or their welfare opt to be improved. Nobody.
All right.
Including their... Oh, Rosalind.
I just want to answer that. Let me bring the person on. But everybody has a time. You know,
yes, of course, I timed. I started 7:53. And it's 7:58. I spoke for 5 minutes. They have been speaking for 10, 15 minutes, saying nothing. We are talking about...
Who has been speaking for 10 minutes? Hey, let me speak with the man on Zoom, and then I come back to you, please. Solomon Ajao is joining us, and he is the Regional Secretary for Greater Accra Region for Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. Good morning, Solomon.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you today?
By God's grace, you are fine.
Great.
And yourself and your viewers?
We are doing well as well. What's the current condition right now? Are you still on strike?
Yes, but before I answer that, I think one of your guests speaking when I joined the call was giving an inaccurate information out there.
Okay, please go ahead.
Of course, the document, yes. There is a chronology of events, and we must all appreciate it and understand that we did not stand up and say that we are going on strike. The agreement, there is a document. It was agreed in May 2024, and we had the implementation date was to start on 1st July 2024. Some of our colleagues took the matter to court, which is an internal issue, which truncated the implementation process, which was supposed to commence on the 1st of July. So it's not as if, that matter and the issue was in court. Let not anyone say that we sat aloof and we did not see the need to force the previous government or the elsewhere government to sign the document. And we find it, we now having the guys to come and say that it should be signed under this government. No.
All right.
The issue was settled this year, January 2025, and we are law-abiding people. So as citizens, where we respect our court, then we have to respect the tenets of the court. So let that be made clear. And it's not because one will say, if we think that it's a stroke of a pen to sign a document, then we should go ahead and no, it's not. That is not it. If that was the instance, then we would have gone on strike last year. That one I can promise you about that. But because the issue was in court and needed to be settled, to have a finality before that finality came in January 2025. Having said that, we engaged the ministry, our mother, the employer, and please take note, beyond the political heads that are appointed, that is the Honorable Minister for Health and Finance, all the other people that we engage in the process in coming out with this document are still at the ministry. So what has changed? They know our story, they know the history behind this condition of service. That is what we are talking about.
The authorities have changed, haven't they? We have a new government. That they'll have to probably take a critical look at the document, right? Hello, Solomon. All right, so we'll try and raise Solomon. Sometimes the technical issues. Yes, please.
No, I did not misinform. Now let us agree that the conditions we know per their own narrative was in 2024. 2024. Please, can I learn, Solomon, please? You're like, I've been misinformed Ghanaians. I need to speak to it. 2024, that was when it happened. You understand? Now it was signed and it went to court. Now, myself and you do not know that narrative. What we know, what they have made us to understand is that document has been on the desk of the
since 2024.
Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Services since 2024. You understand? They do not actually tell Ghanaians that their own internal issues took this same matter to court.
Now we know.
You understand? So you shouldn't tell us that we are misinforming Ghanaians. So please, retract it. You don't.
Wait. So
let him retract it. We didn't misinform Ghanaians.
Please.
No. That bit you didn't know. So you were sure in your statement stating that we did not ask the previous government. And please take note, we are not dealing with government. We are dealing with employer.
Okay, so
employer doesn't change.
Solomon.
Employer doesn't change. Government changes.
Okay, Solomon, what Nana is trying to say is that what he said is because we didn't know that the case was in court. And so probably all you could have said was you were correcting him, but rather you said he misinformed
that. I respect that. So I'm sorry, but just to put the facts on the ground is that we did not sit aloof, but the issue is that we had an internal issue that dragged in court.
Right.
And that is why the implementation did not commence on the 1st of July as stated in the document. Having gone beyond the court issue, we've engaged the ministry over 5 times. And it's one promise after the other. Today, the minister is traveling. The next day, finance is not available. He will be traveling. He's going for a conference. He's going for a meeting. So let's wait for him to come. And this thing is dragging. And for you to know, the document has a lifespan of 2 years. That is one thing we all have to appreciate. The document has a lifespan of 2 years. 1 year is gone. What will you sit down as a union leader and still look on? I mean, the employer hasn't changed, like I initially stated. So we gave up a roadmap. We humbly notified the necessary agency, the Labour Commission, the Mother Ministry, which is the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Finance, and all the other agencies there.
All right, so the network is given a bit of issues. No, Solomon, you're back. Kindly speak.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to the network issues again. All right, so let me come into the studio and then we'll try and see how best we can fix Solomon's technical issues. Yes, please, in a minute.
Yes, I will do that. So all we're saying is that, you see, they should be able to make us understand their priorities. You get it? Of which, because now where we are today, the ordinary Ghanaian should not suffer for their own doing and for the doings of government.
That's what I wanted to ask them,
you understand?
Because I know
they have,
Oh, please, 1 minute.
She's getting up.
Nana, you have 30 seconds.
Some of the troubles we are going through, the timelines that have been he's talking about, is because of their own doings. All right. So you cannot also be off the table and have the negotiations done.
Right.
So I would plead, Ghanaians are pleading, let them come back to the negotiation table, and then let us push government and the employer, for that matter, what he wants to say, to listen to them. Because I have friends who are nurses, and sometimes, all right, when their means of transport to the areas, their clinics and their hospitals is nothing to write home about. Some of those who are posted to the villages and the, for lack of a better expression, the cottages.
Yeah,
even lighting system is a problem.
Nana, I'm sorry, I have to go to Ezekiel.
My brother started.
No, Nana, please, let Ezekiel No, I have to go off air in the next 2 minutes, so everybody has to
put on record that Ezekiel is a medical doctor.
Yes, doc, make your point.
And he has decided not to speak to medical issues.
Ezekiel, if you don't speak right
propaganda.
now, the time is going.
My brother started very well, as expected of a government communicator, to appeal to midwives and nurses to return, but he made some factual inaccuracies within his submission. It is not true that the NPP never employed nurses. The actual fact of the matter is that any nurse that attended any private school from 2012 to 2016, when the NDC was in government, was never employed. From 2013, 2014 to 2016, all nurses across government and private schools were never employed. We all saw the backlog we came to meet in 2017 and the gains we made by employing those nurses from 2017 to 2021. We all saw it. And once again, it's not true that MPP never built any hospital. In fact, we built 20 hospitals aside Agenda 111, and I have them here. I can mention them to you. You can go to Chedie, Manson Kwanta, you can go to Sobronso, Esunafo, and all that. 20 hospitals. I have them listed here. Beyond that, the 9 hospitals President Kufuor started, the Eurojet facilities, President Kufuor's era, within 8 years, NDC never completed a single one of them. We came to complete those hospitals. All these hospitals are aside Agenda 111, for which we completed 3 and commissioned them.
All right.
So yes, we are saying that government is spending on itself, not on Ghanaians, but we plead with the nurses and the midwives to go back to the work, to take care of our people. Government is imposing doomsday levy on you to make your lives miserable, yet we still plead with you. Government has increased electricity bill, water bill, and to make your lives even more miserable. But please, we plead with you to go back and take care of our nurses. If you look at the government and its dealings, it's self-centered, thinking of itself, approving 75 million Ghana cedi for government communications at Jubilee House.
I have to go on Zoom right now and speak with Solomon.
But please,
all right, so Solomon, they have heard you. Thank you very much. Solomon, sorry, unfortunately, the network was messing up. Please, you can go ahead and make your point.
Yeah, so like I was saying, let me also put this in that the collective agreement has been agreed. What is left is for signing it into implementation. We are not in for any negotiation again. We've gone past that stage. That's what Ghanaians need to appreciate, that the issues that we are tabling or we are talking about, it's not something that we are now pleading with the employer to agree and give us. This is something that we've gone a long haul with it and we have agreed. It has been signed and we just need the implementation. So it is up to the Ministry of Finance to work on this authority note to be given to Controller and Accountant General. Besides, whatever we are asking, my dear, we are already, it's part of our condition. It has just been reviewed.
Okay.
So there's nothing new in this document.
All right.
If before we are asking of 50% medical coverage, we are now asking for 100%, which have been agreed.
All right,
so
Solomon.
What is new in the document?
Solomon, just a quick one here. Everybody's pleading with nurses to go back because it's a case whereby it's a case of it's a life and death situation we are dealing with here. So are we going to have the nurses listen to the plea of Ghanaians and also have the government, go ahead and sign for you?
So the timelines will be, when will the government sign? When they are still asking for more time.
Okay. So what timeline are you giving to the government?
It's just to meet. We've made ourselves available. The structures of the association works. Leaders are still in the country. You called me. You managed to get me. If you want me in person, I would have come to your studio in person. I sit on the National Council. I represent Greater Accra region.
So what timeline are you giving government?
as soon as possible. That will get us back to work. I mean, as we speak, most of the hospitals are empty with our monitoring team, with our task force. I mean, it is not, we don't take pleasure in embarking on strike. If you look at the timeline that we gave to government before even embarking on, we gave a long and a loose roadmap, 1 week notice before we commence this strike. Okay. So within that 1 week, the government did not take advantage of it to even engage us to rescind our decision. We had a meeting and nothing conclusively came out, is to form a 3-member committee to implement it. When the document has not been signed, how do you form a committee to go ahead and do the implementation? It needs to be signed first before we can look at the implementation. All right, Solomon. So as it stands now, you are not returning to the hospitals until government decides to go ahead with this, right? Precisely so, my dear. All right. Thank you so much, Solomon. We are grateful. You're welcome, man. But before you go, you know, you made mention of the fact that this case was in court. So we can't blame government solely, right? There was an internal problem, went to court, and they held it for more than 10 months. No, it wasn't 10 months. Let's get it. I mean, if the effective date was supposed to, first, from July. From July, okay. So probably I said about 6 months, right? That's 7 months. 7 months, okay. We got it resolved. So it's your fault to go to court and held it for 6 months. So we can't solely blame government, right? We are not. That is why you see all the conversation that I'm using. We are not using government because government come and government go. Yeah. What we are dealing is that our employer, and they were in the known that we had issues internally which have been resolved. Right. So as a mother, if I'm having issue with my brother, and because of that, you bought attire for us to wear. And I told you that we are saying that, you know, wait, when we settle our issues, we ourselves will come and take our measurement for the attire to wear. Now we have settled our issue. As a mother, what do you have to do? So then you have to exercise a bit of patience on the government then. We've had that patience we started initially, let me tell you, my dear, when we started, we engaged the chief director and everything because they are still at the ministry. Right. All the departmental heads are there. They told us that, we should wait. There's a new government. We waited. They appointed a new minister. We should wait. They will read budget. We waited. They read the budget. Having read the budget, we should wait. We have to meet with the minister again. We met a couple of times with the minister. Let's make an arrangement and meet with the Minister of Finance. Every now and then, one excuse after the other. So for how long are we going to hold on to those excuses without tentatively giving us a date or a concrete thing to work with? So what you want is a date. Okay. What you want is a date. Pardon? What you want is a date from the government, an assurance. The assurance they've given us, my dear, that's what they've given us for all the 6 months. Okay. What we want is signing up the document. And that's what we play with Ghanaians, that we should all channel our energy, begging the Ministry of Finance, the sector minister, and that of our mother ministry to have this document signed into implementation. The next day, we'll have our colleagues back to work. All right. Thank you so much, Solomon. Have a good one. You're welcome. Okay, you too. Take care. All right, so that's what Solomon is saying. And
probably he may not understand is that, you see, some of these things are a matter of policy. The chief director does not employ you, first of all. So the chief director you went to meet at the time when the court case was done did not have the mandate to be able to sign whatever document that you had put before him. And the government that came in place needed time to also build up. You see, let us not mix. When it was your own internal matter, it was 7 months. You were able to wait for 7 months, for the court to resolve it for you. Now, Ghanaians are dying, and you cannot give us that space of some few weeks or so for the government to settle with your employer, so you want to put it to deal with the matter. All right. You're not being fair to Ghanaians. All right, a few comments here. Faiko Masuk said the government is simply playing with the lives of Ghanaians by refusing to implement a collective agreement between Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. Let's not forget that the midwives have come out to say that they are not a part of this, so they are back at work. Nurses are not making a unilateral demand, but asking for what has been agreed on by both parties. Question is, why is government failing to fulfill its obligation written to the good people of Bimbago,
Bunkurugu district. Teacher Kojo Tepai Inswano, when you are in opposition, you might think I did this already on WhatsApp. Aaron Bebako, I did yours on WhatsApp as well. Musa Abatosa, as President Mahama, has shown clear commitment to improving living conditions of all, including nurses. Though he's only been in office for 5 months, steps are already being taken. The Labour Minister is reviewing past agreements on nurses' condition of service to make informed decisions. Nurses are encouraged to end the strike and continue dialogue with the government. Godwin Assar says that I think the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Finance should do the honourable thing to solve our concerns with the implementation of the COS. Jeremiah Tata says that they'll do well to solve the problems with the nurses. If it was the parliamentarians, they would have done the needful. Sami Boachi Asamanka say, I already read yours. Oh, no, I haven't read it. All right. So it says the Ghanaian populace vehemently opposes the D-levy, whereas the government seems oblivious to the concerns. Presently, a gallon of fuel has been increased by 4 Ghana cedis 50 pesos, and electricity bills have risen by 14.7 amidst persistent power outages. Moreover, the cocoa price, which the NDC led by Mahama promised would be 6,500 Ghana cedis, has turned out to be a scam. While the government claims credit for the cedi appreciation, prices of essential commodities like cement remain unchanged at 150 Ghana cedis. The OMCs have cautioned the government, emphasizing that they are stakeholders deserving a more consultative approach rather than Rambo-style directives. With 2028 looming, regards to Thomas Oheneba Boachi. All right. Daniel Kofi James says that just implement the Agri-COS, no illegal review, it won't work. Ben Digbe, let us all rally behind the 1 Ghana cedi tax. Remember, all for one and one for all Ghana cedi tax. James Atingba, my dear nurses, Ghana is pleading with you to go back to house and save lives. Linda Mary, you are saying the through it will kill us. Oh, okay, Linda, I don't know what you're talking about. Mingo Macasia, and please, 2021 badge are still home. They've not been posted. Point of correction. My did know, and Ezekiel does know what he's talking about. Great. Teacher Kojo, I've read yours. Ezekiel should... All right, Robert Youngster, Roslyn, the MPP. What is okay? Right. Some of your comments. Hold on for me, please. Good morning. My name is Isaac, and I'm watching you live from Apam. Please, the GS is making an arrangement for general recruitment for the 2023 teacher training graduates, but some of us haven't reset. We have to reset to write on NTC examination, and up to date, the portal has not been open for us to write, but they are doing general recruitment for the 2023 graduate students. But please, this is quite unfair that we, the reset, you're a teacher?
But you can reset, then you will be employed.
No, so I'm just reading.
He typed. He was in a hurry to type.
See,
he was in a hurry. He was in a hurry. He was in a hurry.
So I should.
He was in a hurry.
So I should.
Please.
I started reading.
He was in a hurry. They were typing because you're about. I mean,
not necessarily an English teacher.
So he was in a hurry.
There's no excuse to that.
No, but he was in a hurry to type. I mean, let's.
For all you know, that's French or trade teacher.
It's not an excuse.
He was in a hurry. That's all.
We have children in classrooms.
You know, it's a gadget.
This person
is a gadget. He's using.
No. Let's not make excuses.
He's a gadget.
Let's not make excuses. This person is a teacher.
He says he has a receipt. He says he has a receipt.
And he's God have mercy. All right, I will not talk too much.
Thank you.
Let me just come and sit down, because at this point, the English is... All right, so on that note, I want to say a very big thank you to my guests.
Roslyn.
Roslyn.
No. For who? You?
No,
2 minutes.
You had your minutes.
I didn't have. No, but I didn't have.
No, you had.
No, I didn't.
You had.
No.
You had.
When you finish that, you rebut. So we didn't.
Okay. Producer says he's giving each one.
No, but not for Ezekiel. But that would not be fair. Not for Ezekiel. 2 against 1. Why?
Roslyn.
Yes.
About the striking.
And then
I want to say that.
Yeah.
As the Secretary rightfully said, they had an issue. They were able to wait for the 7 months, and now government said, give me time for me to review the document or look at the implementation of the document. I just believe that they should exercise patience, go back to work, and I know that government has a plan for them. This is a government who believe in employment. This is a government who believe in the welfare of workers. If you check President Mahama's 6 months in government, you can see the Mahama care and how we are improving the medical sector, health sector. We are even planning, as I was talking, the plans are far advanced to build 6 new regional hospitals, which was part of our manifesto. And so we have so many policies and programs that they will enjoy soon, very soon. Under the Big Push project, you can see that we are going to complete all the uncompleted government facilities. The budget allocation that was given to these assemblies, we have given a clear indications that they should build chief compounds in deprived communities. And we are making plans that district hospitals that are not improved, we will improve all of them. And that's the NDC for
5
you.
seconds.
You remember the Bank Hospital, the expansion of the Maritime Hospital, the UGMEC, the Wuhan Regional Hospital, the expansion of Rich Hospital, and all those hospitals that we build in this country. We build them to make sure we recruit more nurses to work.
All right.
So as time goes on, every Ghanaian will get a share.
All right,
so don't let life lose. So you stay at home.
Right.
I think government is still paying them.
Thank you very much, Richard.
So please
Ezekiel, 1 minute.
Yeah, the Wuhan Regional Hospital is part of the Eurojet facility.
What do you build?
That President Kufuor started. So let's put that in perspective. We will still plead with our nurses and midwives to return to the wards. If you are considering how the government is doing, approving 75 million Ghana cedi for government communications without thinking of your condition of service, you go back to work. If you look at the increment, electricity bill, water bill, the Doomsor levy, that's coming on board. If you look at all the opulence we are seeing in just 5 months, I mean, it will anger you, to trigger you, and you'll go back to work. But we plead with them that let's put the lives of the Ghanaians before anything. As for government and what is at promise and already delaying, showing bad faith. If you look at those things, you want more nurses. The government promised 25 to recruit more people, but they are not doing it.
Thank you,
if you look at it, you won't go back to it. But we plead with them.
Yeah, so a very quick one. You see, let us not misinform Ghanaians and let us not be hypocritical about what is happening in our economy. Number one cedi on a liter, as they want us to see as the most outrageous thing that has ever happened, is one thing that is undesirable, but is a necessity. We've gotten to a point in the economy where we would have to take care of it. We have to restore the guarantee and the confidence in our economy and in the energy sector so that the IPPs would continue to give us their services.
Right.
Number two, there is a debt that we need to service.
But the money is
now. Please, when you were talking, I have to wrap up now. There are debts that we need to service. Whether the debts were left in Kwame Nkrumah's time or now, it is something that is hanging on the Ghanaian economy that ought to be taken care of. We have to buy fuel, and the fuel we need to buy for the 2025. That's long stretch. It's in excess of $1 billion.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen.
The energy minister said the Doomsor levy is to buy fuel, not to settle debt. The energy minister has been clear that the Doomsor levy is to buy fuel, not to clear debt.
Thank you to Franco Trading Enterprise.
He's absorbed himself so that tomorrow, if there is any debt, no one pointing this at him. So he set the record straight.
A big thank you to you, Nana Yalsapo, who represented Movement for Change. Dr. Ezekiel Agyekum represented the NPP, and Richard Manorubi represented the NDC.